Hello and welcome to another edition of Fridays with Father. In our pluralistic society, we run into a lot of people who are non-believers. Some others are, Muslim or Hindu or whatever. Whoever we happen to run into, we should do our best to explain to them our faith if they ask. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how do you dialogue with people in other religions about faith. So first of all, I think we just realize, number one, that all of us are made in God's image and likeness, that we're all brothers and sisters to one another. In a special way, Christian people are united to one another in Jesus. But also, too, we do have a kinship with those who belong to other faiths. And I've been involved in a lot of dialogues with people of other faiths for a long time. And the first thing you want to do is to find some common ground. So, for example, here in Schaumburg and Hoffman Estates, we have the Clergy Association. So we get together with the synagogue, with local Protestant churches, and also the mosque. And you may wonder, well, what do you talk about? Well, actually, it's really, really simple. We talk about the issues that are important to us. And we do talk about our faith, and we talk about why we believe what we believe. And when we focus on the common ground that we have, talking about our faith becomes so much easier. For example, the Muslim folks. They believe Jesus is a prophet, a great prophet blessed by God. Now, we believe he is far more important than that. We believe that he is the second person of the Trinity, the Son of God. And so when we talk to one another, we understand those differences, and we're able to dialogue about them. And even though we differ, we're still able to find common ground with one another, and we're still able to dialogue with one another. St. Paul also says that we should never shy away from sharing with other people the source of our hope. And that, of course, is the Lord Jesus. And so somebody may ask you, geez, why do you believe what you believe? Don't be slow to share with them what you believe. They've asked you the question. They've opened up the door. So you certainly can dialogue with them. What we reject, however, is this, what we call proselytism. That is when you denigrate somebody else's religion, when you talk it down in order to build up your own, and then try to convince the person that they are wrong and you are 100% right, and that if they don't accept what you believe, that they are somehow outside of God's love for them. We shy away from that for good reason, because we truly are brothers and sisters to one another. We may differ in our opinions and beliefs about what God and who God is, but at the same time, there's so much common ground that we can address, and so much common ground that allows us to truly dialogue with one another in peace and common humanity. And so basically, how do we reach out to other people? It's pretty simple. We, first of all, respect what they believe. Second of all, we try to understand better what they believe. We may believe some things about their religion that are in fact not true. But what we have to do is educate ourselves. And the best way to educate ourselves is actually talking to a person who has those beliefs, who believes in that faith. And then that way we're able to discover just how much we have in common. And yes, we do have differences. For example, in the 6th surah, they call it, the 6th book of the Quran, Muhammad writes to always reject the idea of a trinity. Well, Christianity embraces the idea of a trinity. So what do we do there? Well, we try to explain to one another what the trinity actually means. I had a Muslim gentleman tell me one time, well, you guys believe in 3 gods. No, we don't. So we have to talk honestly about what do we really believe, because there might be some mistakes that other people believe about our religion. So always do your best to engage another person honestly and openly and respectfully. Always try to listen as best you can to understand what exactly is the belief of this particular religion. I always considered it an interesting thing when I visited Thailand a number of years ago, and they had statues of the great prophets in the history of their religion. And the statues had huge ears. It was very, very weird. The ears would go from their shoulders all the way to the top of their heads. And I'm like, why is that? And they said, well, we believe it's much more important to listen than it is to talk. So always we can listen with an attentive heart and an attentive mind. So honestly, respectfully, and openly talk about what you believe and listen to what other people have to say as well. And you'd be surprised to find how well we can get along. But we also do try to evangelize. That is, if somebody has no knowledge of religion at all, we may say, do you believe in God? And they may ask, well, who is God? Well, in the Christian religion, we believe that God is Father, Son, and Spirit, etc., etc. Once again, explaining honestly and openly and respectfully our beliefs. And that person may accept them and they may not. And that might be difficult, but remember that the journey of faith doesn't last for 2 seconds. It's a lifetime. So it may take time for a person to understand what you're talking about. It may take time for the person to accept faith, if by God's grace that actually happens. And that's an important thing as well. Remember that growth in our faith doesn't come from us. It comes from God's willing it. And so always be ready to let God work His grace and His time with this person so that they can grow in faith. So once again, we may encounter other people who think differently and may not exactly know who Jesus is. We should always be ready, willing, and open to explain what our religion is, but always doing it with with respectful attitude and with joy in our hearts. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.